It is exactly 6 p.m. in Douala, economic capital of Cameroon. You are watching the 6 p.m. newscast on Spectrum Television. And now the headlines. The pioneer president of the Southwest Regional Council, Zacchaeus Bakuma Ilango, has been presented the challenges that await him as the newly elected regional council president of the Southwest region in a ceremony chaired by the senior divisional officer for Meme. Catherine Cornet will be completing that story for us in this newscast. Also coming up, the mayor of the Douala City Council, Roger Mbasandine, has installed the last batch of the Douala Market Management today, December 28, 2020. The president and your vices were voted in by the traders who will help ensure the smooth running of the market. Our reporter Oni Ladonet will be completing that story in this newscast. Those were our top stories. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in on the Primetime English News on Spectrum Television. As earlier announced in our headlines, rehabilitation of roads champion the cause of decentralization, restoring peace and stability in the Southwest region as some of the challenges awaiting the newly elected pioneer president of the Southwest Regional Council, Zacchaeus Bakuma Ilango. The achievement, according to the Meme Divisional Officer, should be his first priorities. Catherine Cornet gives us details in this report.
It was all joy as politicians, athletes, the administration and the population of Meme Division Southwest region welcomed their own father, son and brother back home after his brilliant election as pioneer president of the Regional Council for the Southwest region. A long march to the divisional office in Kumba took place over the weekend under the supervision of Senator Andrew Otemufa.
On behalf of the living forces of Meme Division, we are very grateful to the head of state for what he has just done to our division. The councillors of Meme Division, all the chiefs, the parliamentarians, all the living forces of Meme Division have sent a motion of support to the head of state to tell him that we are grateful and that we are behind him, that we trust him, and that we will never disappoint him in Meme.
The delegation who accompanied the newly elected pioneer president was welcomed by the senior divisional officer for Meme Division.
Remain beyond the head of state. Your Excellency Paul Biya. Like the father of this division, myself, I am very happy. Because the history of this country is going to note that the pioneer, the regional president of the whole Southwest came from Meme. And during the reign of Chamberlain Kingdom, who is here to implement the view of the head of state.
He urged the administrator to champion the cause of decentralization and the much needed development of the Southwest region.
Once more, thank you. The motion of support is going to be handed to the power that be. Tomorrow. Once more, we are very happy. Once more, remain committed to bring up our beloved Meme Division. Mr. President, it's true. You are the president of the whole Southwest. But never forget that your home is do your best to bring development in our beloved Meme Division. Do your best to join your brothers and sisters in order to bring back peace in the Meme Division. I think that with the blessing of God, you are going to succeed and you have the full support of the whole Meme population and the Meme administration. Once more,
Thank you and congratulations.
Zacchaeus Bakuma Elango, who acknowledged the challenges ahead of him, declared his readiness to accomplish his tasks.
For the Southwest Regional Council, I think we have huge challenges, and the first of those challenges, we all know, are roads. We'll try to see how we can do all in our power to improve on the road network of the entire Southwest region. We will look into the problem of roads, as I just said. We will also see how we can do something to improve the quality of education and also work on the infrastructure. We will try to see how we can lay some emphasis on technical and vocational training, because we know that is what our region needs most. We will also try to see how we can improve on the health system in the region.
The pioneer president of the regional council, it should be recalled, hails from Kumba and of the Bafo tribe. Born in 1962, Zacchaeus Bakuma Elango is a fine product of Inam who served in various state capacities, the last being that of the divisional officer for Douala 4 and 5 subdivisions before going on retirement.
And now, the former Cameroon Renaissance Movement executive militant Celestin Jamin has made a tour to Ngaoundéré with the aim to mobilize and reorient those who have resigned from the Cameroon Renaissance Movement party, like him, and who are committed to his cause. He made this trip on Sunday, December 27, 2020, where he was received by a timid crowd along with a few motorbike riders who lined up in front of his vehicle. And still in politics, the year 2020 has been marked by several political events, with elections dominating the headlines, as well as the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party. Our reporter John Paul Sama looks at some of the major political events that marked the year 2020, coming to an end in 72 hours.
December 6, 2020 has gone down the annals of history as the date when the first ever regional elections was held in Cameroon, with regional representatives put in place, thereby putting into action a 1996 law that promised a decentralized government, with the next step entailing the election of regional council heads of all 10 regions of the country, with the Social Democratic Front Party not taking part in this process. A year of history-making and elections also saw the 9th February municipal and legislative elections after several postponements, with the CPDM party still winning the majority of seats at the National Assembly, with political top guns like Cabral Libi and his PCRN party winning 5 seats for a newly created political outfit. September 22 in Cameroon, in some regions, were marked by heavy protests from members of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party who took to the streets. These militants shouting "Libérez, libérez le Cameroon" were met by forces from the Cameroon police, with over 500 persons arrested in some regions of the country following a balance sheet given by the political party, with some top brass of the party arrested and put behind bars, while forces of law and order circulated the residence of the party's national president in Yaoundé. The CRM party also animated the political scene in the country this 2020 with the Survival Cameroon initiative, which met with stiff resistance from the government through the Ministry of Territorial Administration, as it summoned some mobile telephone companies to close her accounts, while the money destined to buy equipment and donate to the Cameroon government in the fight against the coronavirus were rejected by the Ministry of Public Health. The Anglophone crisis still persists, with the northwest and southwest regions witnessing gruesome attacks, killing and executions, some in schools, as the purported leaders of the crisis still spend time behind bars, with a definite solution to the crisis yet to be sought by the government and parties involved for over 4 years now.
As earlier mentioned in our headlines, the last batch of the Douala Market Management Committee has been installed today, Monday, December 28, 2020, by the city mayor, Roger Mbasandine. The president and the vices were voted by the traders who will ensure the smooth running of the market as well as serve as the intermediate between the mayor and the traders. Details with Onila Dunet.
The leadership of markets in Douala is now in the hands of traders. The last batch of the Douala Market Management Committee has been installed by the Douala City Mayor Roger Mbasandine. The markets involved are the Cité de Palmier Market, the New Deido Market, and the Bonamoussadi Market.
It is the first time that we have free electoral process in our marketplaces. It was very important to let businessmen and women choose a representative, and that is what they have done. We are coming at the end of the process today to put these people, to install these people in the function, and to give them the keys to drive the market in the future.
The newly elected president of the Bonamoussadi Market, Kristelle, a trader since 2015, comes in with projects to be accomplished.
The
first battle I will launch is to make sure there is no fire incident in the market. Secondly, ensure cleanliness and security. I call on traders once more to believe in me, because they elected me knowing I'm a worker and I will do my work.
Ils savent que je suis un travailleur et je vais continuer à travailler comme le maire de la ville.
The installation process has been on since May 2020, with the president and two vices installed to serve as voices for the population and the mayor. These newly elected officials are all traders in the different markets.
And now we talk something else, the impact of the health crisis on the economy, Cameroonian production and consumption. This was the theme of the just-ended 2020 edition of the Douala International Development Fair, known as FEED. Launched on December 18, 2020 in Douala by the promoter Jean-Jacques Ekindi, this fair brought together a good variety of exhibitors in different domains who were invited to showcase their know-how on this occasion. Officially inaugurated by the Minister of Commerce on December 22, 2020, this fair closed its doors on Saturday, December 26, 2020, with other articulations like music, concert, and cultural activities. In a press conference today in Douala, presidents of different drivers' syndicates have written to President Paul Biya, urging him to arbitrate the price of fuel, which is supposed to be increased at 7 francs according to the National Hydrocarbon Price Stabilization Company. Details of this letter in this report with Catherine Kone.
Following a declaration by the Natural Hydrocarbon Price Stabilization Company in increasing the price of fuel by 7 francs, coalition of social partners sent a message to the head of state in a press conference to arbitrate the decision.
It was heard from the memorandum that was read and addressed to the head of state. It concerns the information given to us by the Director General of the Natural Hydrocarbon Price Stabilization Company in Yaoundé on the 10th that they want to uniformize the prices of fuel and increase it by 7 francs. And we find that not very normal because, as you all know, the situation in which our country is crossing, insecurity, health hazards like the COVID-19 and the wars in the northwest and southwest province, transport, people don't even travel as they were traveling. So transporters don't even carry enough passengers. So it will be difficult for us to meet up. That is why we have intended to organize this press conference to send a message to the head of state that he can come and arbitrate it for us, because if it continues like that, it will be so heavy for us.
He added that uniformizing the price of fuel could be good, but disadvantageous to those in rural area.
Uniformization is good. How many people are there in Nguti, where I come from, who would buy fuel as compared to here in Douala? You see, so it's a very big gap. It's a very big gap. If the 1,000 million buy fuel here, in Nguti, 20 people will buy because we want to help them. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. That they want only to put everything in our head because it's in Douala and Yaoundé. Okay, let me say Bafoussam or Kumba or Bamenda, where there are a big number of transporters, but the other areas, there's nothing, so we don't find it very important. But if they could come to us to propose, we could propose, but they have not asked, so we have not accepted.
The Copper Soil Syndicate comprises of Sinocam, Uscam, amongst others, whose aim is to sensitize, ameliorate, and satisfy consumers of fuel.
Evaluating the activities carried out in the year 2020 while preparing for 2021 and sorting out ways to integrate the National Mining Company created by the head of state were the main objectives of the General Assembly meeting of heavy equipment workers held on Sunday, December 27, 2020, here in the economic capital, Douala. Oni Ladonet.
Days after the creation of a national mining company by the head of state, the Heavy Equipment Syndicate of Cameroon hopes to fully take part in the success of this new structure. A structure aimed at developing and promoting activities of the mining sector. A decision made known in the General Assembly meeting of mine workers held on Sunday, 27 December 2020, here in the economic capital, Douala.
Nous avons une base, nous avons une filiale à Betaroya.
We have a base, an office at Betaroya. Our office is already installed in the central town of Betaroya. The office has a plaque with the acronym on it, Senselcan. From January, we will integrate into Sonamin. An operator of these heavy machines should not be hired without passing through the syndicate. All employment contracts will be negotiated by the syndicate. That's why members at our office in Betaroya must be on the field each time a company is getting installed. Created 3 years ago, and with over 300 members all over the nation's territory, these workers hope to use this platform in voicing out their challenges while giving out some recommendations.
The difficulties we face, like in the department of mining, we have, how do they call it, machine who sinks at times and we get operators killed. At times we get stones from a quarry that maybe there are some risks we bear, that's one of the things we want to fight for, which our employees, they don't respect it. They don't go according to the security and the protection of an employee. Is an employee? Yeah, of an employee. So our fight is for them to respect the security measures, moderate our salaries, consider our resting time. That the most thing we are recommending. So those are the things we want them to respect.
This General Assembly was also an opportunity to evaluate the activities in 2020 while preparing for the next year, 2021.
And on our foreign page tonight, Europe, one of the first hit regions by the coronavirus outside China with a second wave of infections, has made the continent an epicenter of the pandemic as a grim 2020 draws to an end. However, there is hope as the first mass vaccination programs get underway. Details with the VOA.
On December 31st, 2019, China first alerted the World Health Organization of a new viral pneumonia in the city of Wuhan. Europe was unable to keep the virus at bay. The first cases were identified in France in late January. By mid-February, northern Italy had become an epicenter of the pandemic. On March 10th, the whole of Italy was locked down, the most severe controls on a Western nation since World War II. 9 days later, Italy's death toll exceeded that of China. France and Spain followed Italy into hard lockdowns. Schools were closed, businesses shuttered, stations and airports silenced. Europe's cities fell eerily quiet. Governments spent billions to keep economies alive and people in jobs. The virus ripped through nursing homes, reaping a deadly toll on Europe's most vulnerable populations. Despite rising infections, Britain delayed its lockdown for 2 weeks. Leading scientists warned it could cost thousands of lives and called for immediate action.
Had we introduced lockdown measures a week earlier, we would have reduced the final death toll by at least a half.
Britain would end up recording the highest number of coronavirus deaths in Europe in 2020. On April 5th, Prime Minister Boris Johnson was admitted to hospital with coronavirus, spending several days in intensive care. The Queen tried to lift the nation's spirits.
While we may have more still to endure, better days will return. We will be with our friends again. We will be with our families again. We will meet again.
By early summer, infections had fallen and Europe began to open up. Governments subsidized the public to get out and spend, but there were consequences. With greater social mixing and schools and universities returning in September, infection rates started rising again.
Our world has reached an agonizing milestone, the loss of 1 million lives from the COVID-19 pandemic.
By October, Europe was dealing with a second wave of the pandemic that has proved deadlier than the first. Lockdowns were reimposed. There were protests in several cities. But at the end of a brutal year, science provided hope. In early trials, 3 vaccines reported success rates of up to 95%. Britain became the first Western country to approve and roll out the Pfizer-BioNTech drug for mass vaccinations, with Europe expected to follow.
This is unprecedented, and it shows very clearly what we are capable of doing as a scientific community and as governments worldwide to combat new and emerging threats. It's a paradigm and an example that we need to consider very carefully about where else we want to apply it against other things that threaten our civilization as we know it.
Other vaccines are likely to be approved in the coming weeks. Doctors caution that overcoming the pandemic will take time.
The development of safe and effective vaccine is one thing, but producing them in adequate quantities and reaching everyone who needs them is another.
How are you? The economic and social cost of the pandemic will be felt for years to come. But scientific endeavour offers a glimpse of normality, a few drops of engineered genetic material, offering protection against one of mankind's greatest challenges and hope for a better future. Henry Ridgewell for VOA News, London.
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
And now we talk sports. The official mascot of the 2020 African Nations Championship has been officially presented to the public in a ceremony in Yaoundé before a tour of the town, which is expected to host Pool A of the upcoming competition. John Paul Sama gives us more details.
Barely 20 days to the upcoming African Nations Championship, the organizing committee has swung into action as the official mascot of the tournament, named Tara 237, has been presented to the public in Yaoundé. It was at the ceremony presided at by the Minister of Sport and Physical Education, Narcisse Mwelekombi, at the Yaoundé Multipurpose Sports Complex that the mascot of the tournament was greeted by the host city. From that ceremony, the mascot left the sports complex, passing through some major neighborhoods in the city of Yaoundé before coming back. Tara is expected to continue his tour to the host cities this Tuesday in Douala before a planned stop in Limbe Boya, another host city. The African Nations Championship kicks off on January 16 with 16 teams vying to be crowned African champions.
That is the package we had for you on tonight's primetime newscast on STV. More news will be yours at 8 p.m. in the French language with Oriane Donkeng. And with me, it's good night.